Hello, and welcome back to our Node.js and Express tutorial series here on Turbo 360. In the previous video, we took advantage of a Turbo feature which lets us extract the data for each template into their individual config files so that our code is much more modular and better organized. And we also explored how the global configuration works and how the data is sent to every template in a render command. So we're finally ready to start building out our own custom UI. So we're going to start building out our actual HTML and UI on our site and start creating a nice looking portfolio website. So let's get into it. So here I am in the root level of my project. I am going to run the dev server as I usually do. So turbo dev server, and just make sure everything looks the same on localhost as it did before. So here we are on localhost 3000. Everything looks good, and we're good to go. So let's turn off the server. Actually, I'm going to keep it on and reload the home page. Now, most Turbo templates that you download comes with a series of what's called UI blocks, basically reusable blocks of code, chunks of HTML that you can reuse to build out your UI, so that you don't have to build out the HTML and CSS from scratch, which can take a long time. And we're not going to do that in this tutorial because that would be more of a design tutorial than a Node Express tutorial. So we're going to reuse a lot of the blocks that come with this template to sort of put together our landing page, kind of like you would use Lego pieces to put together something from Legos. So if a Turbo template comes with a set of UI blocks, that would come in the blocks route. So on the home route, you just do /blocks, and you'll see a series of UI components that comes with this template that we can just mix and match to make our own site. And so we're going to use these to create the landing page of our portfolio site. And if you actually look at the code, it'll make a lot of sense how this is put together. If you look at the app.js route, you'll see on the bottom it says app.use/blocks, and that's the path we're accessing right now. And that goes to vertex router.blocks. And the vertex routers are imported right here from the routes directory. So /routes/vertex. So if you open that up, /routes and then vertex, you'll see there's a blocks router here on line 6. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the blocks router simply renders the blocks template with the context data object from the previous video. And if you look at the blocks template, here's what we have. And so it's just using everything we studied in the first 4 videos of this series. So there's nothing new here. So we're going to use this to build out our UI. And it may look like there's not much going on here. There's only 29 lines. But if you look closely, it's just a series of partials that are thrown together, and each one of these partials represents its own block of UI. So here on line 14, you'll see there's a hero partial, and on line 12, you'll see there's a header partial. So if I open up the blocks page again, all the way on top, you'll see here's the header partial. So if I actually remove that and reload, you'll see that it goes away. Obviously we don't want that, let's put it back. And if I take the hero partial out and I remove that and then I reload, these are called hero sections. These 4 hero sections will be removed, and it goes right down to features. And then it'll move on to the features partial. And that's how it's organized. And these are partials, which means they reside in the partials directory. So here is the partials directory. And there's actually a subdirectory in this called blocks. So if we open this up, you'll see that there's a series of partials. Each one of these corresponds to a partial in the blocks page. So we have hero, hero, features, features, gallery, gallery, so forth and so on. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And so these are all partials, just like we studied in one of the earlier videos. So what we're going to do is take this whole thing and superimpose it onto our landing page and sort of rebuild it using whatever blocks that we want instead of everything at once. So first thing we want to do is highlight the entire thing and copy it. So Control A and then Control C. Let's head over to our landing template and let's go ahead and remove all this stuff. And let's replace it with the blocks. And everything from lines 14 to line 22, let's get rid of all of those. Now the reason we leave this other stuff behind is because these aren't really blocks. These are actually partials that come with the template that should stay with the template no matter what. So there's a head partial, and you'll see that these are not in the blocks subfolder. So there's a head partial right here, and a header 2 over here, and a footer over here, and a scripts import partial right here. So those are not in the blocks folder, which is why we're leaving those behind, because we're gonna use these. So if I reload the home page now, you'll see there isn't much here other than a footer. It's hard to see, but there is the header, and that's it. The header is dark text, so you can't see it against this black background. So what we want to do is now look at the blocks template, and we want to restore the hero partial, but we want to grab the actual raw HTML. So we open up the blocks, and then we grab the hero partial, and we simply copy the entire thing, and we head back into the landing template, and we paste it, all that HTML right here, where the partial originally was in the blocks mustache template right here. We just paste the actual raw HTML. And this will reinsert the hero partial in its HTML form. So if we reload the home page now, we will see hero sections. But notice how the images aren't showing up. We have all the text content and some of the CSS styling, but we don't have any of those images that we saw in the actual blocks page. If I open a new tab, we can compare it directly. And you'll see that the images are no longer there. That's because we didn't update the corresponding JSON config file. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we want to do is open up the pages folder, and the blocks JSON has a hero section all the way up on top, which corresponds with the hero partial. So we could actually just copy that section from the configuration file and then head over to the landing JSON, our page, and paste that entry right here like that. So now the JSON file for the landing page corresponds. It matches up with the JSON configuration for the blocks page. And so that when you render the landing page, these references right here, where it says page.hero and then image1, page.hero and image2, they will have the data piped in right there. So if I reload the home page now, we should see it show up the same as we saw originally on the blocks page. So we simply moved over a series of UI components from the blocks page over to our landing page. It's pretty simple. Really the only tricky part is keeping track of what's what. And now we simply need to decide which one we want to use. So it's really, you can pick any one of these, but I'm going to pick the bottom one right here, the very last one, because the way I see this taking shape is we can put a profile icon over here on top and a greeting message down here and a short brief intro down here. I think that will look pretty good. And we'll probably end up removing this button altogether. So let's go ahead and do that. So I am going to head back to the landing.mustache template, our template. And the fourth section is the one we want. That's the bottom hero section. So this is the only one that we want. So everything else we're going to just remove up until here. And these blocks we can just remove. And now we only have one left behind, which should be the fourth one, the last one. And here we are. So here's the top of the page, here's the header, and then the remaining hero section that we left behind. And then don't worry about the nav bar yet. We'll take care of this. Obviously, we need to create a logo that's more bright so that it's easily visible. And we'll probably end up removing these nav bar menus altogether. So we now have the section that we want, and the JSON data that it's referencing is page.hero.img4. Let's change this to img background, because it's no longer number 4, right? Because we don't have 4 images, we only have img background. So let's head back to our landing.json file, and instead of img4, let's change that to img background, and let's get rid of 1, 2, and 3 because we're not using those. So we can just leave that behind. And if I reload the home page, it looks the same. So we didn't lose any data, we actually just cleaned it up a little bit. And let's extract all of this over into the template as well. I'm sorry, the config file. So on the landing.json right here, within the hero section, we want a new key called greeting. And then we will say this is welcome. And then introduction. My name is Bill. I am a full stack software developer. I am excited to work on your project. Okay, so we added some new key value pairs in the hero section. So we go back to our landing template, and instead of this hard-coded text right here, we simply do page. Remember, it automatically inserts the data in the page key. The page has a hero key, which is the one we were just on, and then this is the greeting. And then we do the same thing down here. That would be page, and then hero, and then introduction. And let's reload that. And here we have welcome. My name is Bill. I'm a full stack software developer, except I spelled it wrong. I spelled a lot of things wrong. Let's take care of this. So we go here and we go back to the hero section. I am a full stack software developer. I am excited to work on your project. Okay, better. And then let's get rid of that get started button. I don't think we really need that for our portfolio site. And so we got rid of that. And then let's fix the spacing a little bit. I think there's a little bit too much space between this header and this introduction. So let's go back here, and this is using Bootstrap 4, which has a series of classes that handle spacing. And this MT4 right here stands for margin top 4, which is creating this amount of space over here. So if we just dial that down to maybe 1, it'll shorten that space. And maybe we want actually 0 here. Okay, looks like that's as far as it's going to go. Okay, and so let's go with that for now. And okay, let's see here. What we're going to do next is we're going to add an image, a profile image, and our own background image, right? So we want to use our own imagery rather than just what comes stock with the actual template when you download it. So it's pretty easy to do that, but before I actually show you the console for that, be aware I did prepare images for this purpose. I downloaded this background image right here, as well as this profile image. And so I'm going to use these. You can download these from the course materials of this course, or of course you can also just grab your own images. So it's up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and use these. I grabbed these from Unsplash, and that's this right here. And these are just free unlicensed images you can use, and they're pretty good. They're pretty high res and very nice looking. So unsplash.com if you want to use that. So let's go ahead and create our own images. So the way you do that is you head over to your account on Turbo and you access the admin console for this project. So head over to your account, click on Sites, and this is the project I set up for this particular series of videos. So click on Manage, and then over here on the left side, you'll see a series of menu options. The one that we want is file storage. So you click on that, and we can upload files here, images and whatever else we want to use for our site. So we click on upload file, and I'm going to upload the BG image. And while we're here, I'm also going to upload the profile. Okay, and now these are now stored on the Turbo image hosting platform. And so we can click on these two. And the reason why we're storing these on the hosting platform rather than bundling them into the actual image, into the actual file system of the website, is because this system provides us a series of tools that makes it very easy to scale and crop the images. So for example, this image right here, if I want to create a bigger version, I simply go to the end of the URL and I do equals s and then 2048. And the number 2048 will indicate how big the image will be when I reload the URL. So I just created a much bigger version simply by updating the URL rather than uploading multiple versions of the image, which makes life a lot easier. So for example, this profile, we're probably not going to use this image size. We're probably going to use a smaller image size, so we can do equals s and maybe 220, which gives us a smaller image. And then if we want to guarantee that it's a perfect square, which I do a lot, we simply append a -c, and that'll give us a perfect square crop. It'll be a perfect 220 by 220. And so that's why we're using this image CDN. Makes life a lot easier. So we're going to grab this right here, and we're going to make that the image background in the landing.json. So let's head back to the landing JSON and then img background and remove that and then paste in the image we just uploaded. And then if you look at the landing mustache template, you'll see that the scaling parameter is already there. So that's nice. So we don't have to worry about the size. It'll take care of it for us. So now if I reload the home page, I now see the desktop background that I just uploaded. And so now it's more customized, it's more personal to the portfolio site that we want to use or create. Now here is the profile image. So let's go ahead and copy that and go back to landing.json, and then let's create a new image entry. So img profile, and then let's paste in the image from the platform. And then let's add an image entry in the template. So head back to the landing.mustache, and then over here above the header 1 greeting, let's do an image tag, and then page.hero.img profile. You may recall from one of my earlier videos in this series that images and any kind of URLs should be rendered in triple curly brace. And let's do s equals, let's try 160, and then -c to guarantee that it's a perfect square. Actually, let's make that 320. Okay. And then let's head back here and let's see how that looks. Okay, so here it is showing up. It's obviously too big, right? So what we want to do is go back here and update the image with a style attribute and make sure the width is 160 so that it's never going to be bigger than that. And then if we reload, now we have a more reasonable size for the profile image. The reason I did 320 to 160, so if it renders in 320, it usually comes out looking a lot better if it's a 2-to-1 ratio in terms of the rendering size versus the actual size, or I should say the actual size versus the rendered size. That's just something I've noticed with a lot of trial and error. It's not terribly important, but that's why I did it. So one more thing we want to do here is create a border radius 50%, and that'll give us a nice round icon. And I'm also going to work on some of this spacing. There's a little bit too much vertical space here, so in that welcome here, that's the margin top 4. We're going to dial that down to margin top 1. And then the image, I think, should have some more spacing on top. So the image should have a class of margin top 4. Basically, I just move the margin to the next item on top. And now I think we have a very nice sort of greeting section, a hero section for our portfolio site. And yeah, so it's starting to look a little bit more slick, a little bit more professional. So now what we're going to do next is we're going to pick the next block. So if we head back to our blocks section, page, excuse me, if we scroll down, we can see here we have a features section. This is more for product features, not really for a portfolio site. But then we reach the gallery. So let's go ahead and import this, and this is going to be replaced with projects. So we want to showcase our projects in our portfolio website naturally. So in the blocks template, so the blocks mustache file, we have features, which we skipped entirely, and then we want to render the gallery. So let's head over to the gallery block right here inside the blocks folder, and let's copy all of it. So highlight the entire thing, copy it, and then head over to the landing template. And underneath the section that we just worked on, let's create another entry and paste in the gallery that we just copied from. And these are the gallery sample gallery projects that we just copied from. Okay, well, I'm just looking real quick at the spacing here. Yeah, the spacing is off by 1. I'm just going to fix the spacing real quick. This is a small pet peeve of mine. Okay. All right, great. And now don't forget to update the corresponding JSON file. So if we look at the blocks.json, you'll see we have a features section, which again we skipped entirely. But then we have the gallery section right here. And so we want to copy the gallery section from the blocks.json, and then we want to move that over into our landing JSON so that all the proper data has been shifted over so that these images can be rendered. So now if I go back to the home page right here, I can reload this, and now I have the hero section with the greeting and the brief intro, and then I have the gallery that we just moved from the blocks over into here. And this will become our portfolio showcase section. So let's go ahead and well, we'll start manipulating this in the next video. But our home page, our landing page, is starting to take better shape now. In the next video, what we're going to work on is making sure that this content is dynamically rendered. In other words, we want to make sure that we can add projects and remove projects, or even change projects, without having to redeploy the entire site. And so that requires some special configuration that connects to a database, which we'll start doing in the next video. So obviously you want to be able to add projects to your portfolio and eventually remove projects as you get better and better. And there are easy ways to do that using this turbo system. So that's it. Let's go ahead and deploy the changes. Now don't forget, we made some changes to the config files. Most notably, we made changes to the landing config JSON. So don't forget to do turbo page and then landing, and this will post the changes to our staging server such that everything will be reflected on the staging environment, and then we can do turbo deploy. And assuming that this works, our home page should now look like this when on staging. And we will take care of these this issue with the logo and whatnot. We'll take care of that in the next video as well, so don't worry about that. Okay, great. The deployment is up. Let's go ahead and check it out. So we just copy the staging link, and I'm going to open a new tab. And here we have the same thing on the staging URL as we do on local, which means everything worked. So now our site is starting to become more customized, looks a little bit more polished, and it will soon be fully customized for our own portfolio. So hopefully you got all of this working, and I'll see you in the next video.